500 or 350? We find out now. What's going on, guys? Pixelated here, back at it again with another video. Welcome back to another episode of the Truth segment, where we pit two sneakers against each other to find out which one comes out on top. And if you're new, welcome to my channel. Today we are comparing the recently released, ever so polarizing Adidas Yeezy 500 against the extremely elusive and popular Adidas Yeezy 350 Boost V2. We've got the 500 in the blush colorway, of course, and the V2 in the beluga colorway to keep it consistent with those neutral military tones, even though the orange stripe doesn't really play into that. But what are you gonna do? I know, I've already come out with two Yeezy 500 videos already. Trust me, I know. I just want to cover all bases for you guys so you have all the answers you want. As you all know, the Yeezy 350 Boost V2 is the second version of Kanye's famed Yeezy 350 sneaker, and as we all know, the 350 V2 is probably the most popular shoe Kanye has done with Adidas. Not only is it the most wearable, but it's also the easiest to grab, not counting the power phases, because I still don't think those are Yeezys. But at this point, there are enough colorways of this shoe and enough stock on some of the colorways that you can probably grab a pair for a somewhat decent price. I say somewhat because no price above retail is really a reasonable price, generally speaking, but resale on some of the colorways has dropped considerably, making it possible that you could be in the market deciding between these two. Well, I'm here to help you make that decision. Yes, that's right. Free consulting services on deck. Feel free to like or subscribe anytime during the video if you enjoyed it. Of course, it helps me out a lot and allows me to create more content for you guys. Typically, we run through three categories to see which sneaker comes out on top, those being fit, comfort, and style. But this time around, we're going to add a couple more so that we can cover the shoe from all angles, and I ain't talking shots. Photography shots, not like drink shots or anything. So the new categories we're adding are wearability, durability, and price. With the addition of these new categories, let's get to it. Starting off with the first category, it is the wearability of the shoe, where we look at how versatile the shoe is when it comes to looks and overall composition, and which one is essentially more wearable in the most possible conditions. This particular comparison is going to be a very easy choice. The Yeezy 350 V2 is made of a single layer of prime knit with a few patches of suede stitched inside the shoe. I don't know if you guys can see it, I'm just pointing this at the camera, but it's got a few patches of suede stitched inside the shoe for a smooth, soft surface to make contact with you when you put the shoe on and are wearing it around. This is great for the wearer, but the fact is this shoe is pretty much just an all knit, which means you can only really wear them in the summer and spring, which granted is what most people are going to do. I know some of you are going to go to the comments and say, "Fuck you, Pix, I wore these in the winter and they were fine." Well, first off, the cussing was highly unnecessary. Second, I get that, I've worn them once in the winter and got away with it, but it's not something you can get away with regularly because your feet will almost definitely freeze at some point. The Yeezy 500 doesn't follow the same style at all. The upper of the Yeezy 500 is made of traditional materials and is built like a traditional old school shoe. You have fabric lining on the inside of the shoe, leather and mesh forming the outside shell with padding in between to create the shape and structure of the shoe. There even are these nubuck and rubber panels on the side and on the heel to reinforce the shoe and add support, and it consequently ends up adding multiple layers onto the shoe. This means that if you're trying to head out in rainy or snowy weather, you're far more protected from the elements and the temperature than you are with the Yeezy 350 V2. Of course, I don't recommend wearing anything other than actual winter boots or shoes in the winter, but if you were ever forced to choose, the Yeezy 500 would hands down be the better choice, and so the point for wearability goes to the Yeezy 500. The second category we're looking at is the durability category, where we determine which shoe would last the longest. Can shoes even have set? So this gets a little tricky because we know how traditional material wears down over time, since as people we've had experience with it. The Yeezy 500 is created with such materials. There's nothing futuristic about its materials, from the mesh to the leather panels layered above it to the adiprene that makes the midsole. Aside from the looks, the Yeezy 500 is as traditional as it gets. Personally, I plan on beating these shoes up. I'm sure I'll get a long time's worth of use out of them, so I'm not worried, but traditional material does tend to wear more easily. The 350 V2 is made entirely of prime knit, and this is where it gets tricky, because we don't really know for the most part how long prime knit lasts or wears. What I can tell you is I've yet to see prime knit wear down the way traditional material does. It just doesn't have the same properties. When you take a step in a shoe made of leather and mesh, you see the material bend. Over time, it creases, and it shows the wear of the shoe. With prime knit, you can bend it as much as you like, but the shoe will stay the same. No creases, no visible signs of wear. The only times I've seen prime knit destroyed is if it's snagged onto something or ripped off the midsole, or someone purposely cut it or tore it apart. And this is why it gets tricky, because without getting snagged on something, prime knit will 100% last longer than mesh. But because it's a knit, it is also a lot more likely to get snagged onto something What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments, but I think it's not fair to compare Prime Knit on the basis that it will get snagged. So when it comes to durability, Prime Knit is guaranteed to last longer than a largely mesh and suede shoe. The Yeezy 350 wins the durability category for this very reason. On to the third category, it is the price category. No explanation needed. We're going to compare the retail and resale price points since most of these shoes are pretty much sold out and you'd have to go to the secondary market to get your hands on either one. The Yeezy 350 Boost V2 retails for $300 Canadian and the 500 retails for $280 here in Canada. That's a little unfair because it's a $20 difference for an extremely lower value shoe. There's no boost, no Prime Knit. They're all traditional classic materials that are essentially a lot cheaper to obtain than Prime Knit is, yet it's only a $20 difference. Just the fact that the price is $20 lower, you would think it would be fair to give the Yeezy 500 the point, but looking at what you're getting for the money, I wouldn't want to do that. But none of that really matters because when it comes to the resale market, even the cheapest Yeezy 350 goes for at the very least $100 more than the 500. So ultimately, no matter how you look at it, the Yeezy 500 is the better choice. Therefore, the 500 takes the point for the price category. Moving on to the big three categories, we're starting off with the fit category where we look at the upper of the sneaker and how it contributes to the wearing experience. I have a few gripes with the Yeezy 500, so let's get into that. The Yeezy 500 upper is made of traditional materials as mentioned before. We have the mesh, we have the leather, and then we have this hairy suede, not unlike my arms. That was unnecessary, and this is all great to be honest. The shoe is very comfortable to wear. It is a tad warmer because of the layers, but my real issue is with the sizing. I'm not sure if I should attribute this to the upper or the midsole or just the Adidas factory that don't know how to measure sizes, but it feels like the bulky materials play a part in this. This pair is my true size. It is a size 10, and when I wear it I have to slightly curl my toes up at the front. The width of the shoes is fine, it's great, but the length of the shoe is at this uncomfortable point where it's slightly too short, and if I go half a size up, it'll be too big. And because it's made of traditional materials, you don't really get much movement to relieve yourself of that sizing issue, and if you go half up, you're gonna have that space no matter what because it doesn't hug your foot like Prime Knit does. Of course, there is the possibility of the leather toe box breaking in over time, but I have yet to determine if that's going to happen. I have set these sneaker shields. I took the one out of here to put it on, but I have set these sneaker shields in to accelerate the process, and I gotta say it has helped a little bit, so there is still hope. My toes don't feel as pressed against the front anymore. If you feel the same thing, you can even use shoe trees to apply the pressure the way I did, just to try to stretch the toe box out. Aside from that, I love everything about the upper. I love the support you get from the side, nubuck and rubber panels, the padded cushiony feel you get from the fabric and entire structure of the upper. It sort of feels like a warm blanket hugging your foot, but the mostly mesh midfoot and heel area allows for breathability as well. Now I'll be honest with you, I haven't worn my Yeezy 350s in a long time. In fact, I really only busted them out for this sneaker battle comparison, but when I put them on, they had the instantly familiar feel of the Prime Knit upper. It's really interesting. It has this tight form-fitting feel around the midfoot to toe portion of the shoe. It holds your foot in place perfectly around those areas, and because it's Prime Knit, your toes get a little room to flex versus the Yeezy 500, which had none of that. However, the heel area leaves much to be desired. You don't get any heel support whatsoever, which understandably isn't necessary in a casual sneaker, but I for one love to have some of that. Another huge positive about the all Prime Knit upper is it's extremely breathable. So when it comes to the summertime, you're going to be hard pressed not to wear these. Breathability is on 100 with these. And I know a lot of people went half a size up on these from their true size, but I went with my true to size 10, and these fit perfectly at true to size. I like when that happens because I don't have to go back and forth trying to figure out sizing and figure out how to get another pair in my size. And knowing Adidas sizing, this is a true anomaly, so kudos to Adidas on that. But the issue with an entirely knit shoe like this is that even though the upper feels like it's hugging your foot for the most part, there is still so much give, and my foot can easily slide from left to right during pressure situations in the shoe, like if enough pressure is applied, especially with the absence of heel support. And although this probably won't affect you while casually walking, doing anything else like scaling an angled surface, having to run somewhere and make a quick turn will incite those uncomfortable slips, and that's something I despise about most knit shoes in general. Some knit shoes have that resolved, like the Ultra Boost has the added lace cage around it to prevent that from happening, but the 350 is severely prone to it. There's nothing I hate more in a shoe than the feeling of sliding in one, and because the Yeezy 500's traditional support system eliminates that possibility, I'm going to have to give this point for fit to the Yeezy 500 for an overall more supportive shoe. On to the next category. It is the comfort category, where we look at the sole of the sneaker to see how it contributes to the overall comfort of the wearer. This one should be fairly easy and obvious. Like I said earlier in the video, I hadn't worn the 350s in a very long time, so when I put them on, the biggest difference I immediately noticed was the boost in the midsole. I know I said the Yeezy 500 was comfortable in my review, and it is, but that's mainly because of how light the shoe is and how supportive the upper is. The midsole cushioning tech had little role to play in that decision, although it does play its part. Now, the boost in the 350 does add more weight, but unless you're doing something athletic and depleting your energy stores, that weight difference won't have a huge negative impact on your feet. And truthfully, there still is nothing that beats boost when it comes to cushioning. No fanboying here, that's just the facts. The point for comfort goes to the Yeezy 350 V2. And our sixth and final category, it is the style category. Disclaimer as always, style is subjective and this is just a suggestion. It's biased to what I find appealing in a shoe, so always ask yourself what you like in a shoe before following my opinion. With that out of the way, there is just something about the Yeezy 350. I don't know what it is. I think I'm grown out of it. When the V2 was first shown on Kanye's feet, I'm not gonna lie, I was fiending. I needed these. I wasn't that big into the 350 V1s, but the V2s caught my eye with the swiftness, the bulkier look, the orange stripe, and the more aggressive lines that were just pow. I just had to have them, and don't get me wrong, they're still a great looking shoe, but I think I'm over the look of this shoe. Like, I have the Beluga 1.0 in the zebra colorway. Well, at least those are the only ones that I kept, and I think that's enough 350s for me. I don't plan on getting any more pairs unless a unique and super attractive colorway comes out, but so far as I can tell, any colorways that have been teased have not interested me. I really don't feel like I have a need for another pair of these. The Yeezy 500 and just the new modern chunky dad shoe trend is just so over the top, and I know it's considered a trend, but I really do love the style in general. I started off liking New Balances and Asics, so this is right down my alley. I love over-the-top things though, and when over-the-top is done right, it's the most perfect thing out there. The previously aggressive-looking 350 V2 pales in comparison. The whole bumpy midsole with the traditional upper makes the shoe look sleek up top and bulky underneath. That contrast is what makes the shoe so appealing and is probably the reason why I like it so much more than the Yeezy 350. Surprisingly, its over-the-top look is what makes it so fashionably versatile too. The dad shoe can be worn with pretty much anything, whereas the 350 V2 has to always be worn with something tapered. At this point, I can't even see myself wearing these with jeans. It's a little confusing. If you couldn't tell already, I'm giving the style point to the Yeezy 500. It has easily become one of my favorite shoes lately. The colorway doesn't do it many favors, but the design is on point, and this pretty much makes up for me taking an L on the Wave Runners, which I'm also a huge fan of. Have you been keeping track? I have, and the overall winner is the Yeezy 500, winning 4-2 against the Yeezy 350 V2. Overall, a better shoe. If you're looking for a more versatile and more affordable shoe, the Yeezy 500 is your shoe. Good game, guys. Good game. Touch gloves. If you took anything from this video, please hit that like or subscribe button. I would appreciate that. What did you guys think about the comparison? Was I being fair? Too harsh? Which of the two do you like better? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear all your opinions. That's it for me today. Catch you later. Picsoleated is out.